Hi, this is Sherry. I'm sharing a short video of another journal that I completed. I used a 1922 book cover as the cover for this journal, and I did keep the contents. There were really a lot of great stories in there. So it's 4 signatures, and I use the hidden spine technique. I have lots and lots of lace trim and some embroidery in here. I also use some vintage book images that I've had. Got quite a lot of room for journaling, note-taking, writing. That's a fabric flip of an antique table set. Did some stenciling on that page. Have a belly band there with a vintage book page. The colors are just so vivid on that. Here I have a drawing of Charles Dickens, and when I tea dyed my pages, I brush them with, I have the tea dye in a canister, and I have a fairly, like a 2 or 3 inch wide paintbrush, and I put it in a plastic, I put the paper one by one into a plastic bin. I brush it with the tea, then I put a stencil over that. I brush that with some more tea, then I put another piece of paper over that. Sometimes I'll layer another piece of paper on top of that paper and then put a stencil. Other times I do paper stencil. And I get some interesting effects. And from watching some YouTube videos, you know, I learned this technique. It's a little easier for me than watching, you know, paper in the oven for 2 minutes. Especially if I want to do a lot of pages, it's just lots of standing up time. So I find that, you know, if it's warm out, I put it outside and it dries fairly fast. And in the studio, when it's cold, I have the space heater running, so I put the plastic bin a couple feet away from there, and I keep flipping the whole batch over. And it tends to all be completely dry within a day. So I can do some of that, you know, practically every day. I love that vintage small table napkin. I have a set of 4, and I'm probably down to only 1 left. Here's some more vintage embroidery trim. There's one place I like to pick up the vintage trim, and that's at this gigantic, the Fabric Antique Mall off of 81 in Virginia. And one of the booths there, I don't remember what it's called, but she always has lots of really old lace trim there. It's not the kind that I could ever find at Joann's. It's usually I mean, it just really does look like it's vintage. It feels good. It's sometimes nice open weave. And it definitely has the vintage feel to it. That's a piece of corner of an embroidery tablecloth. I made that into a pocket. Did some edge punching, and I also stenciled through some of the edge punching. That's a vintage handkerchief that I use as a fabric flip. And once again, this journal is just about overstuffed. But I made that little closure to, you know, hold it together. And of course, you know, I just put in some ephemera, and I may add some or put some in a separate folder. Here's another vintage handkerchief, and just made this little booklet to slide in there. More journaling space. There's actually 2 spots for pockets, the way that I attach that antique handkerchief. More journaling space. There's another little journaling spot. I use some vintage wallpaper to make a little pocket there. Another tuck spot. More tea dyeing. Another journaling, little extra journaling space. It says letters. There's another piece of one of the antique. I don't know if it's a napkin or a handkerchief. I think it's a handkerchief. More edge punching, another old book page. Some of the stenciled tea-dyed paper. It's more of a vintage, very delicate handkerchief. Little flip up. Another little area. Journaling card. More stenciling. It's a teeny tiny little journal card. Thanks for watching.